Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome to another video brought to you by Total Control Traders. We don't normally do videos back to back, day after day, but as the situation calls, we will, depending on what's happening in the market, what's happening to individual tickers, if there's anything worth covering. All right, so today I wanted to, there's quite a few tickers that I wanted to go over. I'm gonna try to make this a shorter video, relatively short, because there are quite a few tickers, but market does call for a new video today. So let's get right into it. All right, first one, SPX. Start off with our usual one. Bounce from 0.5, and it has been a straight V shape as we anticipated into new all-time highs. We are stalling at the 44.90, and I noticed this trend line, this upper trend line, as well as this lower trend line. So it is a rising wedge right now, and we are seeing a wick over the 1-to-1 as usual, and a wick right from that trend line. Now, the good news is we did not see a strong rejection from the 1-to-1, similar to the last time that it got there. There's a little bit of difference. Last time was we got to the 1-to-1 and we wicked from the trend line right away, versus this time we got to the 1-to-1 and then wicked from the trend line the next day. So it could be 1 day delayed. We're gonna have to see what the next day brings. The good news from that is, because it's 1 day delayed, the daily 8 is now higher than what it would have been today. Going to tomorrow, if we're seeing a pullback, it would make complete sense. We are expecting that 4-hour higher low, whereas right now the market is just in complete bull mode. From here, we bounced from 0.5, made a 4-hour higher low. Since then, we have not made a 4-hour higher low since this key zone that we held. All right, so it's been a complete bull move, and then bull flag, strongish bull flag. Yeah, I wouldn't really call this a bull flag, but regardless, we saw confirmation right into the 1-to-1, and now we are forming a 4-hour bull flag. Now, 4-hour bull flag under resistance, under notable area, is generally not my type of trade, just because there's a chance of once you see rejection, it tends to be a little bit harder of a rejection. So if, assuming this is the top now, what is, oh, one sec, guys. So as you might be able to see, I just started using this saving templates on each drawing, each different types of drawing, just testing it out. So far, it's been kind of convenient. It does save some time, but yeah, the option is there, so there's no reason not to use it. All right, so assuming this is the top, we might have to redraw the trend line because we did not really touch it. Let's take a look here. Not sure why it's over here when it should be over here. Because we drew it on the daily, so that's why I think it's a little bit off here. Oh, and we just made our drawings smaller. There we go. So I would like this trend line a little bit more if it was right here, because we can see rejection here. Perfect touch. Slight wick over to touch a 1-to-1. Rejection again. Rejection again here. So we are seeing slight wick over, closing over on one candle as well. Anyways, that works out a little bit better. So going back to the topic, bull flag under notable resistance, 1-to-1 extension. If the rejection is to come from here, and the 4-hour low is to be found from here, anticipation would be a little bit harder of a rejection than ideal. So from here, what we're looking at would be 0.382 lines up with this all-time high zone, the low end of the zone, and GP lines up with this support right here. 0.5? Not really. So ideally we want to see a 0.382. 4R8 is already caught up. Right, next is NAS. Spend a little bit too much time on this PX there. Alright, NAS, 1-to-1 extension. We are seeing a stall on this previous support trend line. 1-to-1 extension coming up. So tomorrow we can see a slight push, or even after hours from now till tomorrow open, a slight push before wicking off. Daily 8 is slowly catching up. Volume, nothing significant today. 4 hours does require a higher low as well. RUS on the daily. 3-day bounce, decreasing bull volume. So that is very notable. Decreasing bull volume. From here, if we were to reject, there is a potential of a bear divergence. Ideally, we want to see one more day follow through on this chart. Even if it's on lower bull volume, we want to come up to this resistance before rejection. Because if we were to reject from here, not only is there going to be a daily bear divergence, there's also going to be a week daily bear divergence. There's also going to be forming a lower high, potentially going to look for a lower low, and we do not want to lose this lower part of the key zone. Do not want to see a close under, and 21.13 is a price that must hold. All right, on Dow, bounce to the 0.786, and we are seeing decreasing bull volume. Same idea. Stall around the 0.786. So if we were to form a 4-hour higher low from here, the anticipation would be 0.382 or 0.5. 0.5 doesn't really line up with anything, not a whole lot. Nothing strong at least. 0.382 would make sense. It is the previous high resistance around 35,100. And that's the market. Next, let's get into the tickers that we got to cover. First one, actually, BTC, Bitcoin. What did it do today? Stalling around GP. We did get over it yesterday. Now we're coming back, still holding that 88. A little bit extended on the weekly. Bear volume is not really significant. From here, rejections. Kind of interesting that this trend line didn't come into play when it's in place so many times before. Resistance, resistance, support, 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 all the way again, and then became resistance again, and then didn't do anything here. So that's kind of interesting. This has got to be the money line, by the way. So from now on, the pandemic lines, the key trend line that on most of the charts that are must hold, I'm going to change them to green. Call them the money line. A lot of charts, once they touch this line, they tend to bounce. So that's why it's called the money line. All right, so from here, momentum seems to be running out. It doesn't really make sense to reject from here specifically. No resistance. So it could just grind up to the 0.786, which lines up with the upper key zone. If we do, however, reject from here, would anticipate some sort of support around the money line. So a couple of possible scenarios. What we're looking at is, why is it blue now? There we go. So that's scenario 1. And scenario 2 would be here. Bounce back up kind of a thing. The more likely scenario, I would think, would be some sort of bearish action, because momentum is running lower. Anyways, couple possible scenarios on BTC. HIVE found support and still in a daily uptrend. So lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And where do we bounce from on this last higher low? It was right around that GP. Sorry, bear with me as I'm still setting up all these templates. Anyways, so this was right around that GP, just above it. The support at 336 held, and we should from here. I would anticipate a new high. However, upon the new high, there's possible scenario of a bearish divergence on the daily that's going to form. Earnings, unconfirmed earnings coming up on August 20. What? Today is August 24th. Okay, that doesn't work. Anyways, in the middle of the zone right now, there's no reason for any entries or exits. Just let the chart play out. See if we get another touch on this 427 resistance. All right, next is hot tickers. First one up, meme stocks. First one, GME. Congrats, meme bulls. Let's take a look at this. You guys can't see this. I'm just gonna do a snapshot. All right, meme stock today. Most of them ran like crazy. GME, I think it was the trend led by TKAT first. Following that would be GME, and then AMC ran, and in the meanwhile, Wish ran a little bit as well. So GME broke both resistance. If we're to zoom in closer time frames, we can see on the break, on this break of key resistance, on volume, that was the entry signal. Early entry signal will be right here. First opening, 7:30 open candle of the day, broke that first resistance right away, back tested it on decreasing bear volume. Then from there it was a straight shot up. So GME getting squeezed a little bit. That key trend line that we must break is coming right up. It's a good break on this resistance of 184.68. 213, ideally we want to see a break tomorrow going into, was it Friday or Thursday? Thursday. Tomorrow going into Thursday, we want to see a break of this trend line for a potential target of 400 roughly. There's a resistance in between as well at 340, 350. So this target one-to-one extension is from the low of 38.50 to 348.50 to the higher low of 116.90. One-to-one extension, which makes sense because there's going to be a lot of bag holders from back here. Whether if it's a lot of people who have this stock from before, whether if it's going to be from the high or from the low, they haven't sold yet and they are not likely to sell. Keep in mind, a lot of traders or investors, they like to buy and hold, and especially if they bought, whether it's from, $50, $100, 115 kind of thing, they won't sell until they're forced to. They just gonna let the chart right out, and that's partly of the reason why the chart has held up so well. From the 17 all the way to 438, came all the way back down to 38, never went back all the way down to the previous low. And not to mention the higher low, the next higher low is actually almost 3 times that, 116. Actually over 3 times that, 116.90. So there's going to be a lot of bag holders, and the ones that are bag holding from the highs, once we come up to this resistance where this previous wicks were formed, I would anticipate some sort of selling pressure from here. All right, similar idea with AMC. There is a squeeze. There was a squeeze on this today, and after hours is up a little bit again. And big upper wick forming. No major red flags. Letting the EMA catch up, whether it's on 30-minute already or 4 hours. Decent volume. Ideally, you want to see a increased volume continuation tomorrow. So it is a key wedge break yesterday on increasing volume. Today is seeing follow through. We want to see ideally another day of follow through before making a higher low, but there is a potential, and that would be a red flag that we come immediate back test of this previous upper trend line. That would be a red flag because it would potentially form a dark cloud cover. Okay, next is Wish. Unable to close over the daily 8. Volume is decent. There. Let's see if we form a daily divergence. So on this chart, what we're looking at is a weekly bull divergence. And in the chat room, I mentioned, by the way, we are offering a 7-day free trial to our chat room. Make sure to check it out. The website will be in the comment down below. Alright, so weekly bull divergence that we're looking at. And in the chat room, I shared that we want to see some sort of follow through this week, going into next week at least, to touch the weekly 8 to give some sort of confidence on this weekly bull divergence. On the daily, tomorrow we're going to want to see follow through immediately closing over that daily 8. Even if it's just closing on this resistance, that is fine. I want to see that close over the daily 8 first. Next is TKAT. So TKAT ran about 50% today. 63% today. Huge bull volume, the biggest bull volume ever. So the last big bull volume was on this day. It was over here. It did close higher, less of an upper wick. Today, there is a bigger upper wick that consists of more than half of the body. However, I like the chart. You know, let's change this one. I like the chart because it did just touch that money line. There's a sideways breaking bull over this upper trend line, which just kept pushing us down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rejections. And then the next day was a sideways break on increasing bull volume. And then we saw a continued drop, forming a daily bull divergence right at this money line. So, and now following that huge bull volume, I like the chart. Let's see what tomorrow brings. I can see this making, at least breaking 923 resistance. If we were to draw a fib to see where the bounce would potentially go to, 0.382 is right under that $10 at 990. Okay, next is UPST. New all-time highs, slightly. 220.11, 220.70, so slightly new all-time high closed under the new all-time high. So not a new all-time high close, but there is a long-term potential channel that I'm looking at. This lower trend line, we saw one bounce, slightly closed under, and then gap up immediately, and then 2 bounce, 3 bounces already. So this is the money line. And then upper trend line that's serving as resistance, 1, 2, 3 rejections ready, and now we're right on it with the 1-to-1 extension target right there as well. See if we get a reaction. If we're unable to break over this zone, this confluence zone of 1-to-1 extension target as well as the upper trend line, we'll likely see a somewhat harsh rejection. That's what I would anticipate. There is a gap left behind here as well. Increasing bull volume, looking nice. Potential for daily bull divergence on new high, which we just made today. Even if we're to make a new high again tomorrow, there is still potential for daily bear divergence. So be careful of that. UPST, there's no reason for selling yet unless you... I would use the daily 8 as the guide right now. If you're looking at more conservative, protecting your profit, probably use the 30-minute 8. On this move up, bull flag confirmation, slight rejection, a little bit of a red flag. Next is BABA. All right, BABA, BIDU, China names bouncing like crazy. All right, BABA is from the all-time low. Wow, from the all-time low to the all-time high, we run a fib, and this is where we're bouncing from the GP, which is within that big key zone. I drew it relatively big because it made sense based on this previous price actions. Anyways, we did bounce yesterday, formed a hammer on decent, nice, big bull volume. Today, we saw continuation gap up and continue buying, but forming an upper wick. Bears weren't able to push it down to below the daily 8. We closed just slightly above it, which is a good sign for the bulls, but there is now a gap left behind, and it is on decreasing bull volume. So tomorrow, if we don't see an immediate follow through making over today's high of day, would anticipate a higher low to be set, potentially filling that gap. But big potential on this name because we did drop from all-time high all the way from 319.32 to 171. So if you're looking at long-term investment, this could potentially be a good investment. Your upside, even if you were to buy from here without waiting for the gap fill, you're looking at to the all-time high is 85%, and this is a $423 billion company. Next is BIDU, and this one in comparison is a $49 billion company. We did not bounce from the GP. We lost the GP, lost the money line. We bounced from under the 0.786. It is a key zone. Potential wise, immediate potential, I do see more upside potential immediately, going from here all the way to the money line, retesting, back testing. That is from the current price, that's about 20% versus BABA is about 10%. And the only problem is, well, it is increasing bull volume as well with a gap behind it, so similar to BABA. But the only problem with this chart is because we're bouncing from 0.786, as well as we did lose the money line. There's one other reason. No, I can't quite remember. What was it? Smaller market cap. It's going to be a more volatile name. So there is a potential we just form a higher low, lower high, or double top here before a rejection. But personal anticipation. Let's say we come to around here. Ideally the 0.386, and then somewhere here. I can see that happening. So from a long-term investing standpoint, this one is a decent choice as well, but just understand that it is a little bit more volatile. Next is DKNG. And big bull volume today. So we were in this trade since, didn't nail the bottom on this one, but we did on the next day. So we were in this trade since the back test of this trend line. Notice this pattern, and I can, all right, just had to look it up. It is bothering me. So this is called a Gartley pattern. Notice this Gartley pattern from this day, July 20th, and we've been in the trade ever since until the 88 was lost. So on the loss of 88, we took profits. That alone was already a 15% trade, but very nice follow through today. 1-to-1 extension target looking at $58, and we are seeing some price reaction from this previous resistance as well as the key zone. Now we're gonna need to see immediate follow through again tomorrow. Even if we do though, I can't see a rejection from 58. There is a chance that this chart or any of the gaming charts, they can just keep on running because sports season is coming back. Keep that in mind. GP is at 61 to 62. Chart is looking great. No reason for exits. Daily uptrend, higher low, higher high. Use that previous higher low as your stop. If you're looking at ADMA wise, I probably use the weekly 8 as the stop. All right, next is PLTR. Chart didn't move much today, but as mentioned yesterday, chart is looking great, ready for running. Cooling down on the daily RSI. Daily 8 is the guide. This slight loss, nothing to worry about. If you're not using the daily 8, you can use this upper trend line from the previous channel. Have not closed under. Gonna need to see increasing volume more so today, more than today. Going forward, we are seeing decreasing bear volume, so the chart looks great. Need to break, close over, break and close over 25.75 in order to see further continuation into that next resistance of 27.50. Next is you. Me? No, you. All right, you. GP losing momentum, perfect backtest, follow through, decreasing bull volume now, bears starting to show up. There is a potential that we're going to come back down, ideally, because I'm not in. Ideally, I want to see a touch over here, and what that could mean would be lower high, lower low. We could be seeing, no, that wouldn't make sense. There's a chance that we just drop straight there. Oh, there's a chance that we could just drop straight here. If we do, that would be money line GP, perfect area for entry around 105. So if you are not looking at you, it's okay not to look at it yet, but make sure you make a, speaking of, make a notification alert. And I just did. All right, so I made a alert just above that ideal entry zone, so once it starts getting there, we'll get a notification. Easy way of making an alert, just go to that price, unless you want to be very precise, and then hit the plus and hit that alert. All right, next is FCEL. Look at this perfect lower trend line. So upper trend line already had 3 rejections, and we played this chart from this last touch all the way up to the wait. No, I think we were a little bit late on this one, so probably around, let's call it high at the close of the day. 34%, amazing trade on that first trade so far. Seeing increasing bull volume, this is amazing because that 5.8 was the original target of entry. We did lose it ever so slightly to 5.68, 5.69, double bottom, and now we're seeing increasing bull volume. Unable to close over this money line. Yeah, that's the money line. We're gonna want to see continuation tomorrow, closing over the money line before we can even think about this upper trend line again. Not to mention there is a confluence right here, upper trend line, as well as the previous resistance support at 724. So if we're to do this right away, you would probably see something like this. If we were not to do it right away, you could see a slow grind up kind of thing. Okay. Next is Bragg. Amazon trend change. Okay, cutting it close here on timing wise. Right, Amazon trend change. Oh, no trend change yet. Amazon closing over the 88. Volume is not looking so great yet. It is on decreasing bull volume, but the chart is looking good now. At least decent, because we are over the 88. We did ever so slightly lose that GP. Why are there so many trend lines? Sorry, it's been a while since I looked at Amazon. This doesn't seem to apply anymore. Nope. Let's just clean it up altogether. Alright, so we did lose that GP and the... That's not the money line. Could be the money line. 1, 2, 3 bounces. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't know which one to call it. I would imagine this one is stronger. Anyways, so seeing a bounce from there, but it is decreasing bull volume. And we could see an immediate backtest from here. Immediate backtest before a next leg move up. And if bull volume really comes in on this leg move up, we could see a straight shot up to fill the gap. But like the likely scenario is probably going to be Where is a good support resistance? Around here. Gap fill. Possible scenario on Amazon. Gonna need the volume to back this move up though. All right, next is Moderna. Hey, we didn't discuss break yet. All right, let's leave that last. Moderna. 1, 2, 3 extension on this last move up. Holy! No bear divergence, no significant red flag. We are holding the GP, the short-term GP as well, from this low to the high. Anticipation would be an ABC move, A, B potentially forming right now, C would be right here. Money line wise, not even anywhere close. This is money line way down below. So there is a trend line, short-term trend line here. Say if we were to look at an ABC pattern, B could be possibly here, C, and then that would be an ideal bounce play area right under that 300 mark. As of right now, there's no reason for an entry or exit. Actually, if you're in a bullish play, there's probably a reason for exit. If you're in bearish play, no reason for exit yet. Looking at the longer time frame, does that make sense? We're going to lose the weekly 8, which I think is fine. Monthly, oh yeah, okay. So on the monthly chart, it makes sense that we're going to come back down here. We are well extended on the monthly, and based on the monthly, there's potential of a shooting star candle, meaning reversal. Even the monthly chart is overbought with RSI at 84. Right, last but not least, definitely not least, is Bragg. So with Sporting all gaining momentum and Score being bought out with Stall, I believe it made new all-time high today. Let's take a look. Not all-time high, a new high post buyout. Yeah, just ever so slightly. So we are stalling that GP. We are stalling at that buyout price. As mentioned, I'm not expecting too much of a movement from here. It's just going to stall around that area until the company is bought out. But what I realized when I was looking at this chart yesterday is there was a dip buying. Easy money. Because buyout was, for the easy sake of dollar reference, let's look at US. Buyout is at $34, and we dipped down to backtest that, or touch that 88 at $31.45. So from $31.45 to $34, that was an easy 8% that you could have made. Anyways, so because it's not on my watch list anymore, it's completely deleted off altogether, completely missed it. So keep that in mind. With Bragg, Sporting coming up, we are seeing decent bull volume coming in, breaking over this long-term, shorter-term trend line, up trend line. This GP doesn't look great. Okay. I'm gonna have to take a look at this one. Anyways, drop from here. Bounce to the 0.5. Yeah, bounce to the 0.5 before rejection. And where do we bounce from? Nowhere. We didn't bounce, we didn't touch the 0.76, which is just below $8. Okay. So as you're drawing your charts, if you notice things like this, where it didn't bounce from notable fib area or confluence areas, make sure to make a note of it, because when you're trading it going forward, you should expect that it's not going to respect the fibs all that well. So anyways, from here we saw a bounce to the 0.5, decent strength, came back, and now we're seeing continued slight increasing on bull volume. Now because we're not in Score anymore, and because this is what, 65% from the highs. I quite like the chart. We did bounce from the key zone as well. And there's going to be a lack of resistance once we get past the GP. So we'll be looking at this chart tomorrow. But good potential. Risk to reward makes sense long-term wise, which is majority of my Canadian dollar investments. All right, so that's it for today's video, and ended up being a little bit longer than ideal. Let me know which charts, which tickers you are looking at, and maybe I can take a look. More than happy to take a look, as well as for personal interest. I love looking at charts. Let me know what tickers interest you, what kind of stocks you trade, and if you find the content we share are helpful, thank you so much for watching. If you know anyone that could potentially benefit from the videos we share, please consider sharing our channel with them. And last but not least, 7-day free trial currently available on totalcontroltraders.com with link below. All right, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video.